Yo, what is up, everybody? What is up, everybody? What is up, everybody? It is your boy MM2K of GEIX, Cloud Dosage, Hard Knock Digital Culture. And man, oh man, are we back again with another barn burner. Just when I think I'm just gonna be playing games for the day, some stuff always has to happen. Thank you, Microsoft. Thank you, Sony this time. I can't even blame Microsoft. This is Sony. Thank you, Sony. We're gonna be talking about this is in a row mic check episode for February 27th, 2024. And in this episode, we're gonna be giving our reaction to the PlayStation laying off 900 employees. Okay. Did that pop up? Did it actually pop up? Okay, there it goes right there. All right, I want to make sure that popped up. Do all this swanky stuff and the stuff ain't popping up. Hey, if you are part of our Discord, and maybe it's easier for you to listen in Discord, and I think I fixed this cold blood. If you get a chance to check it out, let me know. If you go in our Discord and go to the NRO / the MM2K live stage, I am there. So you can check there and try to listen to the show there, and hopefully it's working. I know we had some problems in the past, but I think I fixed them. So if you're in the Discord and it's easier for you to listen that way, you can go to our stage in the Discord and check us out there. All right. Okay. With that said, we do have a doozy of a story to talk to you about today. I normally don't cover layoffs, right? I will cover misinformation associated to them, but I normally don't cover layoffs. Cold Blood says, I'm playing Paris. This dude needs help. Hold on. Oh yeah, I had to hold on 1 second, because I was like, why in the hell aren't I seeing anything? But I forgot that this stupid YouTube, I love you. You gotta love it. Something wonky happened with me setting up this stream, and for some reason my auto end feature was activated when it shouldn't have been. I never activate that feature, but you know, when you're dealing with wonky stuff, you get wonky results. All right, so it says I'm playing Paris and Destin for this is Cold Blood. Let me say this initially, and this is not damage control, because this is not good. This definitely is not good. It's going to lead to lesser results than we suspect. I kind of suspect it because of a particular entity. Me and Cold Blood was talking about this behind the scenes, and I suspected that because of words from a particular entity, that we kind of have a situation where somebody may be a little in over their head as far as judging what needs to be done for the long term, possibly. And they're going to end up doing some stuff, and Cold Blood said this behind the scenes, they're going to end up doing some shit that is going to screw up so badly that it's all going to be reverted back anyway. But I think the next few years, we're going to see the impact of the lesser, definitely. And it's not a good thing, because in an era where I just did a video talking about the importance of exclusives and the importance of Sony's footprint. I just did that yesterday. We just released that yesterday. Them scaling that back is not good for the industry, because I'm just going to be honest with you. Outside a few rare items right now, the industry just is not good with AAA content. outside of Baldur's Gate, outside of Hogwarts, I mean, I haven't played it, but I see the reception. All right, I see people say Alan Wake is good, but the messaging is mixed there, right? Because of the gameplay style or lack thereof. You know, they call that a walking simulator. I'll see. But outside of the exclusive content, the AAA genre defining stuff just hasn't been that good. It's basically outside of Baldur's Gate, it's been PlayStation and Nintendo holding it up. Again, we got Hogwarts, but outside of what the exclusive content that those guys are curating and overseeing and put oversight on, it's not looking too good. The latest example is Suicide Squad. And I was all for, hey, if the game makes a turnaround and people like it, I'm all for it. But when I played it, I just didn't like it. And my initial thoughts were, this game shouldn't be released. I know a lot went into it and people thought like, well, we got to salvage something, and it's doing more harm than good. Like, there are barely any users on Steam. Like that, like, you know, that thing, this season 1 content, from what I understand, it's going to make or break this game. So the AAA genre defining scene outside of the exclusive content from PlayStation and Nintendo ain't looking too great. There's just that extra infusion of cash and that oversight that plays a huge role in the quality. And I gave you guys examples. You got to check out my video from yesterday. I think we thoroughly and effectively explained why, even if you don't buy these exclusives, how they positively affect you. I know the big talk was exclusives don't matter, or they don't benefit gamers, and that's false. There are cons to the exclusive. Yeah, you got to buy multiple platforms, but that sense of urgency that is created by that dynamic influences the industry. It makes games better. Do you understand that the games that you're playing today are just enhanced versions of the exclusive battle all the way back from Generation 7? These games, whether they're multi-plat or not, they are of the ilk of the exclusive content that came from back then. But if you're new to gaming, if you just came in 2020, just got in through Game Pass or whatever, and I'm just saying, if that's been your exposure to games, you don't know the lineage. So that's why I was always big on competition. I wanted Microsoft to stay in this space. They didn't. It's okay. It's their brand. They do what they want. I wanted, and I continue to want, PlayStation to kind of like be the lighthouse of what quality AAA games are going to be. And I think they're still going to do that, but they're going to take less risk, which is not good for us. Because in order for you to do this effectively all the way through, you got to be willing to take the risks. And what I think that a particular person is doing is they're looking at short-term industry, just dynamic stuff that is not going to last. They're looking at that, and instead of weathering the storm and, you know, making cuts where you need to be, like the layoffs today, I think were avoidable. They're avoidable across the industry. That's one thing. But then I think they're looking for long-term solutions for a short-term problem. And like I said, we're going to see some heartache and some pain from this, because I think they're making a mistake in a certain regards. But I do believe that it's going to get better. They're going to look at that. So they're going to look at the end result. The the outcry is going to be so severe. And this is different from what we're seeing from Microsoft, where Microsoft just you know, they've been trying strategy after strategy after strategy, and it's been failing. So they can no longer placate to this audience. They got to go find a new one, or they got to placate to a different audience. This is different. This company is still successful. It's just not as successful as they would like to be. And when you're publicly traded, you got to be cognizant of that. When you're publicly traded, you're not just battling other companies, you're battling yourselves. Like, for instance, in 2019, Sony took a big hit in its stock, not because they were doing worse than everybody else. They didn't do as well as they did last year, the previous year. That's the trick of the stock market. So your head has to be on a swivel. You got to look at what your competitors are doing, and you got to outperform yourself. So if you have a stellar year, that's supposed to be the norm now. Sony is a victim of its own success. It got to keep it going. And I think there's a particular figurehead now that does not understand that dynamic. I can just tell from the press conferences that were had recently, the controversy that was caused by that, just from a lack of awareness. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not some CEO somewhere, but I've been very effective in what I do. I've been doing this for a long time, and I can smell problems from a mile away. That's why when I was having that conversation with my brother Cold Blood, I told him, I said, this individual is going to be a problem. And it sounds like I'm right. But I think the community will fix itself. I see Cold Blood in the audience trying to listen. I don't know. Is it not working, Cold Blood? Let me do this. Let me do this, Cold Blood. I don't think it's Herman. He said that mofo Herman is on some yacht right now. Nope, it's not. It's still not working. Okay. Damn it. We got to get that fixed. I got it. When I get a chance, I'll talk to Lo-Fi, see what we can get done. But sorry, guys, it's still not working in the Discord. We'll figure it out. That mofo Herman is on some yacht right now, sipping his whiskey while telling us it's good for everybody. What happened to 900 hardworking people today, and it makes to make better games? F out of here. It's not Herman. It's not Herman. We'll talk about it. It's not Herman, bro. But we'll talk about it. All right. So, because here's what you got to think of, Cold Blood. Herman was there along with Jim Ryan when Insomniac was being asked to let people go before, and they didn't let them go. What's different now? Jim Ryan is gone. Jim Ryan understands the industry, and he's been replaced by someone who I don't think understands how this industry works. That's where we need to look. This is not Herman. I think Herman and Jim Ryan understood that this is just a temporary thing, that, yeah, there are layoffs that are needed. Maybe they weren't going to do 900. I think layoffs were just more layoffs. I think they already did some. More layoffs were just inevitable. But it likely wouldn't have been this severe. And you now have someone that is spearheading fundamental changes for a short-term problem. They are going to cause a disruption with the consumer base that is going to reverberate through that company. And then they're going to tell that person, okay, you got to sit your ass down over here. You fucked up. We appreciate what you were trying to do. Go sit the fuck. Like, by the time this is all said and done, give it like about 4 years. they might fuck up so bad, cold blood, that person will be gone. But we're going to see some few years of some heartache in regards to what we should be getting versus what we are getting. You know, like we're at a standstill now where we're like, hey, opposite of Concord, which is a live service game, and Helldivers is doing great, don't get me wrong, but what are we going to expect out of Concord? We don't know nothing about this shit. The atypical stellar first person party game just isn't present this year at all. It looks like. And I think you're going to see more of that now than you have. And I got something, and shout out to the homie Porter Rock. Shout out to the homie. He's provided me with something that I'm going to illustrate to you guys, to where I just want you to understand how low this is going to go. You know what I'm saying? But it's not, it does. I don't think that the PlayStation is going to be trash. I don't think that our exclusives are going to be horrible on the PlayStation, but they are going to take a hit. And then they're going to take so much of a hit, the industry is going to rebound, like when the chip prices go down and the margins just go up. And this mofo would have enacted this type of strategy, and it's going to be bad for them. And then they're going to get booted, because PlayStation doesn't play that. PlayStation hires people to, like Jack Tretton said it best when he was interviewed by Hip Hop Gamer. I wish I still had that clip. Jack Tretton said it best. Sony doesn't recognize individual work. Like the most that I've ever seen them do was for for Jim Ryan. Like, this is the most celebratory practice I've seen Sony do. Not Sean Layton, Jack Tretton. Jack Tretton said it best when he was talking to Hip Hop Gamer. He said they don't celebrate individual accolades. You are a cog in a bigger machine. And when that machine feels like that you as a cog are no longer needed, they just throw you out and put in a new one. So yeah, right now, while margins aren't where they would like them to be because of some extenuating circumstances that are dynamic, they're not long term, I'm going to show you. But because of those circumstances, yes, Sony is going to get heavy-handed with this guy right now. He's doing some stuff, but the problem is that the stuff that he's doing is transformative long term, and Sony doesn't need that. They need to do some things short term and weather the storm and just keep an eye on it. Like the Twisted Metal project that you were talking about, Cold Blood. Yeah, okay. A few hundred employees, understandable. They kind of went off the deep end. And then they're going to find out that the long-term systemic nature of this is going to hurt them in the long run. And then this person is going to be out. But before we get into all that, hold on, I wish there was a timer on this thing. Can I put a timer on this thing? Because I don't know why. Let's see here. Let me edit this. Triggers. Okay, let me look at other triggers. See how they work. Triggers. 3. Okay. Let me go back to that one. And triggers. We're gonna put 7. Here we go. That way this shit doesn't stay on the screen all day. Okay, so let's get into it, folks. We are here. We're gonna talk about it. I first want to talk about the story. Okay. So in order for us to do that, we got to go here. This is from Eurogamer. Says Sony laying off 900 PlayStation employees. Get out of here. London studio to close in its entirety. The industry has changed. Let's see here. Sony is to lay off 900 people, equating to 8% of its workforce. The reduction will see PlayStation Studios, London studios close in its entirety, plus reductions made within Sony's Firesprite studio. There will also be reductions in various functions across SIE in the UK. In a post earlier, Sony's Jim Ryan said that the company's PlayStation community meant everything to us, and therefore it felt compelled to share an update on the current situation. We have made the extremely hard decision to announce our plan to commence a reduction of our overall headcount globally by 8%, or about 900 people, subject to local law and consultation processes. The employees across the globe, including our studios, are impacted, Ryan wrote. These are incredibly talented people who have been part of our success, and we are very grateful of their contribution. However, the industry has changed immensely, and we need to future ready ourselves to set up the business for what lies ahead. We need to deliver on expectations from developers and gamers and continue to propel future technology and gaming. So we took a step back to ensure we are set up to continue bringing the best gaming experiences to the community. We deeply appreciate support and understanding from the PlayStation community at these decisions are very difficult. Please rest assured that our plans for reorganizing and streamlining are so we can continue to deliver the best gaming experiences possible. Ryan shared an email sent to staff today, included his full statement titled "Important Update." In his email, Ryan said the restructuring was an incredibly difficult decision for leadership to make, but it had to become clear. Changes needed to be made to continue to grow the business and develop the company. He says, streamline our resources to ensure our continued success and ability to deliver experienced gamers and creators have come to expect from us. This will see employees across all SIE regions impacted. Ryan said Sony will notify affected employees in the US today. All that is a subsequent post shared by head of PlayStation Herman Hulse said affected included Insomniac Games and Naughty Dog. The company's U.S. technology, creative, and support teams will also be affected. There's a lot there. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but there's a lot there to unpack. So let's talk about it. What does this mean? Here's what it means. All right. Like I said at the beginning of this, there is no sugarcoating this. This is not good. This is not good. This is not, oh, okay, all right. Well, no, this is a nothing burger to see here. Absolutely not. I mean, yes, we did kind of know that something was coming because what was said to the what was released via the Insomniac leaks. We knew they wanted to do something. Something was coming down the pike. And then Sony, it was Sony's turn to do more layoffs. It just was coming. And then they made the lofty goal of 25 million, didn't reach that. That sent reverberations and market evaluation, even though that's not hard cash, but a market evaluation went down. It has an effect on the market. That's the lifeblood for a lot of these companies, even if it is a temporary dip due to suggestions and things like that. Some of it was self-inflicted, had nothing to do with a lot of this stuff, but I think synergies were coming anyway. We said last show, we overwhelm ourselves with pie charts and stuff like that, and we do. I think looking at cold hard moves like this, though, gives you a mindset of what you're dealing with in the short term. And we're dealing with a different mindset at Sony. It's not as severe as some zealots are trying to make it seem, because here's what some zealots are trying to do. They're trying to say, see, everybody's laying off. Like all layoffs are the same. Everybody's laying off. So us laying off 1,900 people and totally changing our business model is the same thing as this. So don't rag on us that bad for us not knowing what was happening, because you didn't know this was going to happen. They are not the same. I'm going to get into detail. I don't want to go too far in the weeds right now. I want to stay in chronological order here. but they are not the same. One is a synergy, which means, look, the market just does not justify us having these people. We have to make reductions because our job is to make money. If we're losing money, you are compelled as a company to financially work in the interest of your investors. And if you can't justify to keep losing money, investors, particularly in the US, they can sue you. So that's why staff reductions are easy to go to when you have that problem, right? But that's a problem that's made because of the market. And the market is out of your control. You have to make some decisions to either cut back on services or hands on deck. And it's usually easier and more fathomable to take away hands on deck because you don't want to make a lesser service if you don't have to, because that's going to affect your ability to sell through. But it's easier for you to ask more people to do more stuff. And it doesn't sound right. That's just a business mindset. It's easier to do that until we find some way to completely rebound from this and leverage our resources. Another thing that happens too is when you let go of an employee, particularly in the US, you have unemployment insurance that covers that. Like, they're off your books. You no longer have to pay for their Medicare, their Social Security. That's a huge chunk of money. That's why people lean to employee layoffs whenever margins or profitability or trying to get back in the black. Whenever those things that make investors antsy happen, that's why laying off people is the first get-go. It's the most, unfortunately, it's the most effective thing you can do without harming the brand to the consumer. Because normally consumers, we're all in it when it comes to the products, the hardcore are, so they got to be cognizant of us. I think we do a good job of evaluating this stuff and having more of a heart than on average. When someone says, oh, the Coca-Cola plant let go 2,500 people or 2,500 people, people may go, whoa, but they just go to the store and buy more Coca-Cola. That's it. So it's less compounding to your brand to let go of people opposed to saying, all right, well, we're going to do this to our product. This time around, Sony is saying we're letting go of people and we're going to do some stuff to the product. But what Sony is saying is we are going to cut the product. They're not saying we're going to rearrange the product for a different consumer base. They didn't say that. They didn't say no more God of Wars and welcome Fizzle Chisel Pizzle Popper. That's not what they're saying. When you look at Microsoft is saying it doesn't matter what the market says. We gobbled up this company and there's a redundancy now. The redundancy is, regardless if that person was needed when that company wasn't part of us, we already have ABC person. So we're getting rid of you. You're cannibalized. That is not the market being unstable. That is you as the company unstabling the market, because now you are cannibalizing talent. That is solely in your control. The market could be agile and could be perfect, could be making more money than ever. But if you have two of the same redundant employees, that doesn't make sense for you. So you have to let somebody go. And again, the whole investor thing comes in. Why do you have two chief operating officers or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Why do you have two CFOs? Why do you have two studio heads for the same studio? It doesn't make sense anymore. So people get cannibalize. That's you destabilizing the market because you're getting rid of people that normally was needed, but because you absorb them, they're no longer needed. That is not you reacting to a destabilized market where the market altogether just dictates what you need to operate with. That is you destabilizing the market. There's two totally different scenarios here happening. When you have a synergy, that's you reacting to the market. When you have a redundancy from consolidation, that's you destabilizing the market. As far as talent is concerned. So this is not the same. If you see somebody from across that bridge saying, "Come here, we're going through the exact same thing." No. And the reason why I'm making that distinction is not for any fanboy stuff. We want you to understand effectively what is corroding the market. There are some things that are just happening to the market that people have to react to. Like, for instance, to be fair to Microsoft, all 1,900 of those employees were not redundancies. I believe maybe a quarter of them were synergies, reaction to the market. I believe that if Activision Blizzard was never purchased by Microsoft, they would be up for another round of layoffs, maybe like 300 or 400 people. But believe you me, those other 2/3 happened because the employees were redundant. What is the guy's name, formerly of Axio? Stephen Tertilio. We broke his article live on air, Cold Blood and I, where they were talking about, they were using code names to talk about the different companies that were interested at buying ABK at that time before the proposition was presented from Microsoft. The one company they were talking about, we don't know, but the other company clearly was Microsoft, because they were saying one company would be able to absorb us and have no redundancies. They're going to keep everybody, or there will hardly be any redundancies, excuse me. And the other company said, yeah, but if company B takes us, there's going to be a lot of redundancies. And we know that there were a lot of redundancies with Microsoft, meaning that even before the APK purchase happened, this was reported by Steve Tertilio. He discovered this. Give him his flowers. Even before the APK purchase happened, Microsoft let it known internally, behind closed doors. Oh yeah, we hacking and slashing. What's that song that be on Fallout? Hacking and slashing. Whoa! They were hacking and slashing as soon as they got ABK. That was a redundancy. That was them cannibalizing talent on their own. So do not listen to those with the low business acumen who are trying to say, oh, come here, give us a hug. We as a consumer base are going through the same thing, the exact same thing. See? We weren't dumb by believing Phil Spencer. He's only doing this because the market is changing. There are changes in the market that are going to affect Sony, that are going to affect Nintendo, to where they may have to scale back. But they are not fundamentally changing their business structure. That's what Microsoft is doing, because to compound the changes in the industry, they have yet to discover or enact a winning business strategy. They are not the same. And as a result, they are compounding and making things worse for the industry, because the industry is already, quote unquote, correcting itself, I presume, from the COVID hires. But they are now making redundancies that happen when you absorb a company, and they are ensuring even further that a lot of this development talent will never get a job in this sector again. Never. Because once you absorb a company, that position doesn't come back. It is cannibalized forever. When you have a synergy, it's temporary. Like, for instance, I remember one time at work when I was managing, we were going to expand. We were rebranding the couple of sectors that I had managed, and we were rebranding, right? Because our line of business was doing great, but the overall company was doing bad. So my manager comes to me after we've discovered the business plan and we figured out how we were going to do this rebranding. And we looked at things and then we said, wow, man, the company, he came back to me and he said, look, man, we're going to have to, we had just hired some people too. No, we had hired some temps because we knew that we needed like 3 or 4 more people in one particular section that is being rebranded. We needed them ASAP. So we had got the permission to hire some temps. And out of the temps that we hired, once we got the approval that they approve our plan and they grant us the positions, we were going to move those people after their 6-month preliminary period, because with some temp agencies, you're not allowed to just hire their assets because the temp agency wants their money. So we were getting the okay to keep these people on for 6 months. Normally when you send these plans off, they take about 3 or 4 months anyway before you get the full approval and you're allotted the position, right? So we were going to have these people for about 6 months. And then within 6 months time, we would get a good feel of who was good, who wasn't, and who we would offer a position to. And then I end up, a month after submitting for these new positions, my boss calls me in the office and says, you know what? I hate to tell you, bruh, the company is doing corporate wide, synergies. We got to get rid of these positions and we got to let those temps go. I said, damn. So we let the temps go. And then we had to let go some people. So a few months later, a big infusion happened. We reacted late to something happening in our market. And then 4 months later, the company comes back and says, this is how goofy my company is. That's why I can't, a lot of the shit that I share with y'all is some of the dumb shit that they do. That's another reason why they would never say, yeah, you're allowed to show who you are in person. And cause then I would let you know who this company is. But anyway, 4 months later, they come back and they say, oh, you know what? Things are great again. We're going to go ahead and move forward with that plan of yours. But we sat there and told them, you dummies, we can't move forward with this plan because of state law. Whenever you terminate an employee based off of a synergy or you lay them off, you have to wait 6 months before you hire somebody else under the, and even though these were new positions, they were expansions of positions that we already had. So we had to just sit and wait another 6 months. We're like, who's following the market? Who's making these decisions? So the reason why I brought that story up is all this is temporary. Whenever you have margins falling up and down and stuff like that, and you got to make reductions in staff based on synergies because of the needs of the market, that's temporary. You can turn around in the blink of an eye and get the allowance to, hey, the market is booming now. We need 450 new employees and there's 450 new jobs out. So all that is temporary. That's why synergies are not the end of the world. They're a reaction to the market. But a redundancy, I absorb a company. We got multiple people for the same position that we don't need. The redundancies have to be let go, meaning you purged, you've swallowed and cannibalized a position that will never come back. It's gone forever. They are not the same. Let's make that abundantly clear. All right. So with that said, I don't want to sugarcoat this though. I do want to make the distinction of what's going on versus what people in the bullshit that you're being told online. We ain't got to follow pie charts and shit, but we got to have some type of business acumen to know what's bullshit and what's serious and what's real. Do not believe that moniker. Oh yeah, same thing is happening to us. Come here, give me a hug. Oh, it's bullshit. Redundancies are destructive to this market right now. They're making a bad situation worse. It's like going from having asthma to entirely losing a lung. Because there's some shit in the air. There's some type of contagion or something in the air. Now you got to lose a lung. Totally different. One is bad, one is impactful, but one is manageable. Synergies are manageable because you can start taking asthma medicine and be someone like myself, where I used to be hospitalized all the time for asthma, to where I might get an asthma attack every 5 years because it's allergy related. There are things that are manageable. There are things that will never be the same. You lose a lung, you lose a lung. Okay? All right. Now that we've made that crystal clear, let's talk about the bad that this represents. PlayStation, for the time being, or maybe some type of long term, even though I feel that PlayStation will correct itself after it's going to hit some rocky path because of these decisions. But PlayStation is now doing a huge philosophy shift from how they handle exclusives. What philosophy shift is going on? Let me show you. If you follow my content, you've seen this ad nauseum. I've been showing this every day for like the last month now, because we got a lot of people out here that don't understand business and don't understand the philosophies and why business decisions are being made. They want to act like gaming just started in 2020 and they've completely been lost of the history. This was PlayStation's former formula when it came to exclusive content. This is at the heart of what you're hearing about today. Shuhei Yoshida says only 4 out of 10 PlayStation games make money, but Sony will always support talent. And to talk about what he means there, he says it's a hit-driven business. We look at our financial results of the titles, and probably 3 out of the 4 of the 10 make money, and maybe 1 out of the 2 make all the money to cover the cost of the other titles. So we have to be able to maintain that hit ratio at a certain level to be able to continue in this business. So we always try to find and support and grow talent. This is the most important part that's changing. So we have to be able to maintain that hit ratio at a certain level to be able to continue in this business. They are changing that hit ratio. They are no longer willing to accept a 60% failure rate as their max. They're probably going to try to decrease it to like 30% or something like that. I feel under this new leadership, they're going to try to decrease it. So what does that mean? That means that games like God of War, Horizon Forbidden West, or the Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, what else? Last of Us, and Death Stranding, I feel. Those games are safe. Those games are money makers. Those games aren't going anywhere. If anything, which is not a good thing if this happens, these studios will be looked at with a fine-tooth comb And some of the more impressive things that Sony is able to do with a lot of these games visually, where there's a lot of trial and error. We saw in the Grounded 2 video for the making of Last of Us 2, there was a lot of mocap and things that they just kept doing over and over and over again. I think under this new leadership, there's going to be less appetite for that. So the work that the studios do will be impacted, and that's the part where I feel like gamers are going to be like, hold on, because somebody's going to say something. Like, I think when Jim Ryan was trying this games as a service push, the devs spoke out, and Jason Schreier was all over it. The devs will speak out again if the end product looks like it's getting hit. And then let the first game out of this batch come out and not land where those games normally land. Let the next Horizon game be in the 70s instead of the 80s. Let the next Last of Us be in the low 80s instead of the mid 90s. Let God of War be like in 82. It will reverberate, and I think that's what it's going to go to. Like, I think the studios will be so scrutinized that these games will take a hit, as far as the output. And then that's when they're going to be like, and then a Jason Schreier article is going to come out. Gamers are going to put 2 and 2 together. Just like gamers put 2 and 2 together about the games as a service thing, and Jim is now retiring. I don't think gamers are going to like lesser quality, because all through the comments, the thing that kept being regurgitated is the games that we're known for, the quality that we're known for. They're looking to maintain the quality. They understand that the leg that they're standing on is the leg of quality, the top tier games. They understand that. I just think that it's naive notions that the things that make them top quality, we can cut those and still maintain that top quality. That comes from a mindset that does not understand the culture. I'll get to who's responsible for that in a little bit. But that's what Shuhei is talking about, and that's what's changing. They're no longer willing to accept that hit ratio, for one. That's the big change. The second change is the games that are safe. I think they're going to try to tinker with the polish that happens behind those games. The times to where Neil Druckmann goes in and says, no, that lighting doesn't look good. We got to come up with another system. All that shit, they're going to try to mess around with that, and they're going to be playing with dynamite. But I think more importantly than that, this hit ratio is going to get affected, meaning they're going to take less risks, meaning they're going to ride and grind out more and more of the shit that we're familiar with. Because in order for you to come up with that next big hit, you got to take more risks. I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to shrink the risks that they're willing to take. Here goes something from Eurogamer's article in regards to that from my business experience makes me believe that. PlayStation Head of Studios confirms projects canceled in wake of layoffs. Let's see what Herman Hulst has to say, even though I don't think Herman Hulst is the villain here. PlayStation Head confirms projects canceled in wake of layoffs. Growth itself, it's not an ambition. PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulse has confirmed that projects have been canceled in the wake of layoffs across Sony Interactive Entertainment. Earlier today, SIE President and CEO Jim Ryan announced the layoffs, including company closures of PlayStation London Studios. Holston followed up with a further statement to discuss the impact of the workforce and a reevaluation of how we operate. PlayStation 5 is in its fourth year, and we are at a stage where we need to step back and look at what our business needs, reads a statement from Holmes. At the same time, our industry has experienced continued and fundamental change, which affects how we create and play games. Delivering now again, they're talking about that top quality, but how far are they willing to go to give you more of that? Delivering the immersive, narrative-driven stories that PlayStation is known for at the quality bar that we aspire to requires a reevaluation of how we operate. So again, at the heart of what they're going to do, they're still going to do what they're known for. Understand the meaning. More God of Wars, more Last of Us, which does, they're going to put their foot on the neck of the known, which does affect the creative process. But then at the same time, there's going to be less experimenting. There are going to be less days gone. There are going to be less forspokens, which a lot of you may hear that and say, well, those weren't great games anyway. But understand this. Games that were also a risk. Ghosts of Tsushima. Right? Those were also a risk. Ghosts of Tsushima was something outside of the norm. So the less risk that you take, you're cutting off more possibilities of you getting filler for the catalog, but it's still stuff that you have in your catalog. But then you're also cutting off the possibility that, hey, we might just be smoldering our next gem. What they're saying right now is that they're going to be taking less risks. And even if they don't mess with the quality of, like, if someone is effective in saying, hey, look, let Neil be Neil, don't touch his shit. What's wrong with you? Even if they're successful in thwarting that off, still getting the same regurgitated first party games over and over and over again, somebody's going to say something. Gamers are going to say something. It's going to be the same thing, even though it's going to be like Forza Gears and Halo Gears and Forza, right? Even though the PlayStation versions are successful, you're still going to get people that'll be like, the PlayStation can't come up with new shit anymore? What's going on here? That's not going to fly. That's where I think a certain somebody is going to be in a lot of trouble. Since PlayStation Studios has grown to deliver social online experience as well as launching games on PC and mobile, however, growth itself is not an ambition. We looked at our studios and our portfolio, evaluating projects in various stages of development, and have decided that some of those projects will not move forward, said Holtz. I want to be clear that the decision to stop work on these projects is not a reflection on the talent or the passion of team members. Our philosophy has always been to allow creative experimentation. Sometimes great ideas don't become great games. Sometimes a project is started with the best intentions before shifts within the market or industry result in a change of plans. So to see what I'm saying, so there's going to be less experimentation. There's going to be less let's try this. That thing that Shuhei Yoshida says, where we're going to try to invest more in talent, and we're going to let the talent try stuff. And the things where we think there's a strong possibility that might be it, we're gonna stand behind it. There's going to be less of that. Yeah. Are there going to be less? Are there going to be less Forspokens and Days Gone, which I think those are two games that just got the shaft, two good games that got the shaft. Are there going to be less of those experiences out there that really don't move the needle that much? Yeah, sure. But then you're going to get less Ghosts of Tsushima. There's always a diamond in the rough. And they're just going to lean on the titles that they know are successful. And as a result, we're going to see less 1P titles. All right, I want to show you guys something else. Let me see if I can set this up properly. And I want to thank P-Rock for this. Let me see here. How do I get this into... Hold on. How do I get this in the presentation mode? View. Oh. Presenter view. Here we go. All right. Shout out to P-Rock. Okay. For giving me this. All right. Hold on. Give me a second. Damn. They going ham in this. Damn. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Hold on. What's... Hold on, give me a second, y'all. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, okay. All right. So now I was just making sure I didn't miss any breaking news or some shit. All right, so I want to show you guys this. Shout out to Porter Rock. Thank you, P-Rock, for loaning me this. This is the infamous Porter Rock slideshow where he talks about, where he shows you, because there was a lot of people that were out there saying, oh, PlayStation is failing because they don't have multiple first-party games out there. They're failing. Oh, this is horrible. This is god-awful. You had zealots from across the way saying that, and you even had some PlayStation gamers that just don't know the history. They just jumped on the bandwagon. They don't know the history of PlayStation and didn't realize what they were saying. This is a list from Porter Rock that shows, since the PlayStation 4 domination, there really weren't a lot of true first party titles out there. Now, when we say true first party titles, we mean games that were developed by, at the time, a first party studio of PlayStation, and it was a first party IP, like they owned the IP. So not only did they own the IP, but they own the studio. That's a first party title. When you don't own the IP or you don't own the studio, that's the second party title. Right? When the game is exclusive to you for a set amount of time. Like, you don't own the IP, you don't own the studio, you just bought the rights for exclusivity for a certain amount of time. Think of BioShock. Me and Cold Blood were just talking about this yesterday on another stream. Think of BioShock. BioShock 1 was a third-party exclusive for Xbox for about a year or so, something like that. So what he's showing you is that when you really think about the original first-party exclusive, Sony doesn't come out with a lot every year, as it is. Here's a lot of first-party and second-party exclusives that are out there, and they look pretty beefy, particularly 2017, right? Look pretty beefy. Doesn't look bad. There's at least 2 every year. The only year where they were quote unquote slacking was 2015, right? Now, when you look at this list versus the games that y'all know came out, like particularly 2018, hold on, how come Spider-Man isn't there? Because at the time, Insomniac was not a Sony first party. They really didn't even own the IP. But with that said, here's what you got as far as first party titles to an extent, right? But then when you look at the true first party IP and studio titles that people are talking about, this is what you get. You see how that lessens? This is really what is first party studio and first party IP that belongs to Sony, right? Killzone Shadowfall, that's one game. Then in 2014, you only got 2 games. 2015, you have none. 2016, you got 2 games. 2017, you do have 3 games. 2018, you only got 1. 2019, you only got 1. In 2020, you have 3 games. And really, when you think about it, maybe Miles Morales shouldn't even be in there. I think Porter Rock said something to that. So it might only be 2 in 2020. That if you really think about it, you can take Miles Morales out of there. So when it comes to, there's a reason why I don't want to include the Spider-Man or the Marvel games. We're going to get to that in a little bit. But when you look at the games that are first party exclusive, that are owned, that are being done by first party studios, this list is going to dwindle even more, or the expectancy, the ratio. I think we're going to see more 2015s than we'd like. I think what we should start to expect is 1, maybe 2 a year for the next few years. And there might be a year or 2 where there are none. Here's what you're going to begin to see. Thank you, Porter Rock, for providing us that slide. I think what you're going to begin to see is you're going to begin to see that PlayStation leans heavy on second party and third party exclusives. That is mainly the most you're going to see out of the PlayStation studios, I feel, are going to be coming from Insomniac. I know that sounds weird because Insomniac got cuts, but their games are going to be more expensive now. Because after Spider-Man 2, how do you go back? You can't go back. That is a game that is of an IP that's made by that's owned by a third party. So now they have their expectations. So in order for you to balance the rise in cost that it's going to take to make that game and the expectancy that that client now has, we got to cut back on some people. You got to do more with less. And they're willing to accept that because there is actually somebody investing or helping out with that. I don't know how much, but I know Disney is getting a cut as well. But I'm pretty sure there's some marketing, there's some things that Disney is covering in regards to either the marketing and or the development costs. And then they're saying, look, our kickback is going to be, what is it, 12%? I think it was on that slide, or 15% or something like that. They're willing to accept that because they're in this with somebody else, with a partner, and it's their IP, right? But when it comes to games to where they fully are responsible for the funding, the making, and the marketing, yeah, of course not. That's where it's going to scale back. So that chart that I showed you, I'm going to show it to you one more time. This is going to dwindle. Be ready for that. All right. I also want to show you one more thing. As far as the bad that's involved here, this strategy that they're talking about makes SIE less dependent on the console. Not in a severe way, not in a way that I think a lot of people, again, are trying to equate to what Microsoft is doing, which they are on the pathway to full multiplat. This is not what Sony is doing. Sony is leaning on seeing what they can do on PC and mobile. But when it comes to PC in particular, like I think with mobile, you develop lower cost games to a higher market, right? So you get some of these developers to make some lower cost games to a higher market, right? Not what we want. We don't want our development talent making a bunch of fizzle chisel tizzle poppers or candy mushes, you know, the spinoff of Candy Crush. We don't want a bunch of candy. We don't want Insomniac making candy mush, right? But you might start seeing that, or especially from these smaller studios. But here's why you're seeing what you're seeing today, which to a certain degree I understand. And here's why I don't think that Sony is going to do day and date on PC. I think they're going to get more aggressive and put more games on PC. If you look at the catalog of games that Sony has put out versus what's on PC, it's not a lot. I don't think that being more aggressive on PC means that we're doing more day and date. Because if they do more day and date, they might actually affect their margins. This is a great snippet of what's going on with Sony from Derek Strickland of Tweaktown. And Derek Strickland and Tweaktown are not some pro-Sony publication. They lean more towards Microsoft, or Derek Strickland does. But I always like how a lot of his takes, all may not land well, but a lot of them do. He says, here's a closer look at profit trends for Sony's game division. A quick glance reveals some culprits as far as the lower margins. Increasing game development costs, right? We already talked about what's going on with Insomniac. Historically unfavorable exchange rates. We told you about the exchange rates of the yen. Who is talking about that? Nobody's talking about that I see except for us. Why? Because we have a business acumen here. We know how business works. Those exchange rates are not helping PlayStation. They have an impact on the profit margins. All right. But those exchange rates are not going to always be the problem. Acquisition costs. We're telling you, and there are others telling you, that Sony is still dealing with paying off for its acquisitions. The acquisitions like Bungie and so forth. They are still paying those off. Those affect the profit margins. How those acquisition costs are being applied. And then last but certainly not least, lower PlayStation 5 profitability, meaning that there are lower profit margins on the amount of PlayStations that are being sold because of the chip situation. Yeah, other superficial parts, the buttons and stuff like that may be cheaper. They may have gone from 30 cents a button to 10 cents a button, but those aren't the big cost drivers. The chips are. And you got to think about it this way, y'all. If I manufacture parts within a controller and I'm partnering with Sony, in order for me to do so, there may not be a chip per se in the controller, but I may run my business because I need chips in order to create these controllers, or the parts for the controllers that Sony buys for me. So because the chips that I need to do what I got to do goes up, guess what? I charge Sony more. So even though costs have gone down, they still haven't gone down to the levels that they were last generation. That's common sense if you have a decent business acumen. A lot of these people that you're listening to don't. So even though costs have gone down, and I was surprised to see that on CNBC, I said that was so stupid, because even though costs have gone down for parts, they haven't gone down to the levels of last gen, because everybody's affected by this chip shortage. So the price that I'm charging Sony for the cord that goes in the controller is higher because I need chips to laser print this shit, and that's going to affect the cost that I'm charging Sony. So the levels are higher regardless if they're going down. They're still not at the levels that they were last generation, because everybody's affected by this chip shortage. You take that into account, and take into account that Sony needs to put these chips in the units themselves. That's why the margins are not high like they were last gen, or high as they were last gen. That's why you didn't see significant price cuts in the holidays. That's normal business acumen. You're not getting anywhere else. You got to stop listening to these bozos. But those are the culprits. Now, when you look at these culprits, is this going to be a problem that Sony always faces? Like, is this the new norm? No. It's because of the chip shortage. There will not be a shortage of chips forever. Will Sony be paying acquisition costs forever? No, they're probably done with acquisitions for a while. That is a dynamic situation. Will the exchange rates be unfavorable for Sony? No. This is a dynamic situation. And the development costs. Are development costs going up? Yes, they are. That's going to be a sustained thing. So out of the four major things that are affecting Sony's price or profit margins, 3 out of the 4 are dynamic, meaning it's just a perfect storm of unfavorable things happening at the moment, but they're not systemic. Development costs are going up, and that's something that you do have to control, and you can control that with synergies. Had there simply been synergies done, and just request to these, look, you're going to have to refocus. If these are the cost of these games, if these are the resources that you need, you're going to have to do them with less hands on the table. We're sorry. With less permanent hands on the table. We're sorry. Because prices are going up, and they're not going down anytime soon. Back in the day, when games were starting to hit a couple of $100 million, Sony was able to make their games, to make the Uncharted games, and they'd be like $50 million to develop. It's not like that anymore. We saw Spider-Man 2 be what, $315 million. That's what, a 300 or you know, a 2 to 300 plus increase, if not more, in just a few short years. So yeah, redundancies were going to be made because of that, and you have to rethink how you utilize your resources to make these games. But I think fundamentally, some things are being done now that are going to systemically harm what's being output. And the person responsible for that is Hiroki Totoki. Yeah, buddy boy. Yeah, Hiroki Totoki is not, his tenure will not be long. Because now that he's poking at the ratio that made PlayStation successful, now that he's going to start poking at the resources, like outside of hands on the table, he's going to start poking at the resources and trying to get them to scale back on stuff. He is going to stoke flames that are going to engulf him, and he's not going to be able to put them out of himself. Sony will correct itself. The market is going to correct itself. Like, these three items here are not systemic issues. They are dynamic issues that just happen to be happening at the same. It's like a perfect storm of stuff right now, but they are going to go away. This is what you make fundamental changes towards. This and this only. You make temporary changes to offset what's happening here. But what Sony apparently is doing is making systemic changes to affect all of this. That is of Totoki. And that's why I had to push back on what Cold Blood was saying, but we're going to bring him on a little bit to give his full thoughts and opinions. This is not Herman Hulst. Herman Hulst has to fall in line, just like Phil Spencer has to fall in line now because of what Satya wants. This is all Totoki. This is why I said I was going to do a video, but then I just got sucked into Helldivers. I was going to do a video. Cold Blood can attest to it. I was going to do a stream where I was going to talk about Totoki and my issues with him. I had a problem with him. I do. He just doesn't get it. Like, he started off, again, this may sound fucked up, but understand, but this is business. When you have a rabid West that is clickbait thirsty and they like to say and do shit so they can get ad revenue, it's hard enough for somebody where English is their first language. But when English is not your first language, don't try to speak over these critical things that, you know, especially when you're talking about a market, that market changes and you didn't reach market expectations. That shit will be used against you. Especially when these things are resulting in the video game business. The video game business is about taking every single word and twisting it where it can to result in clicks. That's rule number one. That's why Sony never did this before. They spoke natively, had a translator, and the translator was on top of everything. Not only did he say things that he didn't realize would be easily taken out of context, but even the translations were fucked up. Yeah, Buddy Boy might just be in over his head when it comes to stabilizing the gaming side of it. I was full-fledged on the Phil Spencer, even though I was a fan of Xbox. I'm not saying it's going to be as bad with Totoki because Sony is less inclined to stick with somebody because they understand how important gaming is. They understand the culture. Once this guy starts engulfing himself in this fire that he's inspiring right now, it's like Jack Tritton said, they're going to pull that cog, yank it out of the machine, and put in another one. But because of the urgency that was set by them setting these lofty goals, the real long-term effect of the cost of game development and the trillion-dollar tech bubble that's correcting itself, he seems like the light at the end of the tunnel right now. He's talking big and bold and brash, but he's using a hacksaw to cut out a small slice of cake. You do long-term systemic adjustment for the increasing game development, and you do short-term dynamic changes to help with these things. That's his problem. So that's the bad, right? And I was supposed to have this up here, what this means. That's the bad. Okay. Before we go to what this doesn't mean and some of the foolery and effery that's out here in the fanboyism of all this, let me go to the chat. Cold Blood says the only issue I agree with is Twisted Metal being canceled. That shit would have been DOA. Yeah, and it's interesting that Jason Schreier, who gets to the bottom of this stuff, that's all he has to report on right now, is that this Twisted Metal game. So it doesn't seem too severe. That of course the stuff that the Spider-Man 3 and the Wolverine game, that's not to be affected. I don't believe that would be a shocker, because those are deals that were signed with Disney and PlayStation. If Marvel, if they pull back on that, that is going to reverberate through Sony and fuck them up long term. And then Totoki's definitely going after the end of. I don't even think Sony would approve of that. I don't think they would be that dumb to approve of that. The board would be. But yeah, I think at worst you're going to see some smaller scale projects, some things that, you know, we heard let them cook, Ben Studios, whatever they were working on, that might be gone. Like, let's see here. We don't know. Ben Studios, let's see if they have any comment out here. No, they don't have anything out here. Let me check the replies. No. It says platinum this today, very good, but screw those drones and rat. Nope. They're not out there. They're not out there saying anything. So maybe it's maybe it could be their game. It could be their game. Maybe it isn't. We'll see. He says they better not be playing people. They better be playing people off for a good reason. No shit from your first party a whole ass year. That's a risky move you can't do twice. Dusty Rant says, speaking of Jim Ryan, I heard a rumor or theory that he left because he saw what was no, that's unlikely. There's a couple of things that's happening, Dusty. Number one, SIE presidents only last about 4 years. So when you look at what's happening with Jim Ryan, this is around the time that they leave anyway, for one. But for two, I do think that PlayStation was looking at, like, Jim would have approved and agreed and somehow conveyed that they were going to sell 25 million PlayStations. He would have been an integral part in that belief system. And, you know, and looking at the tracking since that claim was made, they aren't going to do it. And it was going to reverberate through the market as it did. And you already got these higher margins. Spider-Man cost $300 million. We saw where Sony was asking Insomniac to let people go. I think Jim Ryan and Herman Holtz was like, these guys don't understand, this is what's needed. And I think what happened was, when SIE I think when SIE they weren't going to meet that benchmark, that they were like, you know what, Jim, let's have a conversation. Jim, you need to chill out, and maybe this is a good time to spend time with the family. So you go ahead and you do that. We're going to send you off with flowers because you've done so much, but yeah, Jim, this is not the year that we wanted. Again, Sony is cutthroat. Jack Tritton spelled this out. Sony is cutthroat like that. I don't care what you've done for the platform. Let them feel like they're moving backwards. They're yanking you out. Herman Hulst is like, I don't want to be next. I don't want to go with Jim. So he's toting the line. That's it. He's doing what he has to do. He's following the line. But yeah, it wasn't Jim Ryan seeing this and then getting out. No, Jim Ryan was either hinted like, yeah, maybe you should retire, Jim, or he was criticized for some of the decisions that were not pleasing for the market wise, and he said, you know what, screw this. After all I've done, I'm out. Those are two plausible scenarios. Him seeing this and then getting out of the way, no, because he would have been responsible for it. So he says, I literally just talked about this yesterday in your Hell Diver stream of what scares me. I know they better not cancel that Wolverine game. I don't know. They might. I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't think that the games that are pillars, like the Marvel games are pillar for PlayStation. Those are the bread and butter. I don't think those get dry. If they do, oh my gosh. I think what's going to happen though is that a lot of the freedom that they had as far as technology and going and doing things over and over again, the things that kind of helped balloon the cost of Spider-Man 2, for instance, that made it great, that made it an excellent game, that made it a 90s game, Metacritic wise. I think that some of those things will not be permitted anymore. I think a lot of these laid off workers should form a huge developer union, and it's a better time now to form the new studios free of the corporate influence. Here's my thing. Will Sink, I think what has to happen in the market is that studio independence has to be supported somehow. Like, you're seeing a lot of these people leave these big companies that own these studios, and they're trying to form their own studios. I think some type of compensation, or not necessarily compensation, but some type of financing when it comes to these independent studios. Like, there has to be something creative that's done. And that's why I'm not against the model that Larian did. I think Larian's model is the most successful model. What do I mean by that? I mean, you don't get owned by no studio, because that's not long-term systemic security. They may have more resources at their disposal, but as soon as something doesn't pan out, like, you can finance, like, I'll give you an example. I truly feel that, and me and Cold Blood was talking about this earlier or a while ago, where, if you notice, Spider-Man had a discount. Spider-Man 2 had a discount. That was kind of odd. And it's not because the game sold bad. It's not because the game didn't profit. It's now at 10 million. 10 million. at $70 a pop is what? 700 million? They made 700 million off the game. Then you take away the 12% from Marvel. I think it's 12%. So that's 700 million. So that's what, 84 million or something like that that goes to 84 million that goes to Marvel or Disney, if that 12% number is right. So they made, considerably double over the money, and I imagine that Marvel would have assisted in the development costs, or at least the marketing costs of the game. But I think in its 25, this is where the market plays an important role, and we gotta understand what's going on. When you have 25 million consoles that you're expecting to sell, that's an astronomically high amount. Your biggest title of that year must be the main driver of that. And as great as 10 million was at the time, I'm thinking that Jim Ryan and company thought that it would probably be 20 million. Which is crazy, which is insane, but they were smelling their own shit and thought that they were so there that they were going to sell more consoles than ever this year, just off of Spider-Man alone. And I think to push that's why there was that discount. And the discount didn't help that significantly, because what happened was, in this year, even though Spider-Man sold very well, even though they made money off of it, you did it within a year where they were so stacked. If Spider-Man comes out this year or 2022, yeah, it does that. Yeah, it does that. Me and Cold Blood were having this conversation. If you hold Spider-Man to 2024, oh shit, maybe you do that. But because it came in such a loaded year where other games kind of sucked the oxygen away from Spider-Man, just think about it. Spider-Man wins Game of the Year. Oh, that's free marketing and advertisement that reverberates. Don't get me wrong, it sold a lot. Shit, it was only on one platform, and it outsold Baldur's Gate, or it's running neck and neck with Baldur's Gate. If it didn't outsell it, I'll sell it off of one platform. So can you imagine when you don't have to compete with Baldur's Gate? Like, you're winning Game of the Year, right? Likely. You're winning Game of the Year, and you have nothing else selling as much as you do. Off of one platform, then you could make 25 million. So I think there's just too much was resting on the laurels of Spider-Man, and that's why that decision was made. And you see how a company like Insomniac, who, even though they got to utilize PlayStation's resources, can you see how a company like that can have that much success, but because of the parent company's lofty goals, you still got to suffer because of that? That's why I brought all that up. I was saying all that to say this. Companies, you got to find a way to get your funding like Larian Studios did and still remain independent. You are not securing your long-term future by being part of these companies. It's evident. Because they'll give you all the shiny shit and you get the shiny desks and the new PCs and the new tool sets, but it's coming at a cost. And I like what Larian did. Larian said, look, we're going to put our game out. We're going to take a vertical slice of our game. We're going to put it out there. We're going to work on exclusivity to this vertical slice so we can get some type of funding. And then we're going to use that funding to have an early access version. And then so therefore the most rabid fans that feel like, oh shit, I got to have a piece of this now. They'll get a piece of this now. Right? And then for those of you that are not that rabid, that won't pay for the early access, to curl your lips up, cold blood, at early access, fine. Don't pay for the early access. You can just get the full game at full price when it releases. But it's going to be a better game for you, and therefore we didn't have to be beholden to some conglomerate and have our long-term future at risk. There has to be a seismic change in how these independent studios that are making AAA games, how you do this shit. And I think Larian Studios gave you that example, trying to get unionized. As great as that sounds, it's a pipe dream, unfortunately, Will Sink. When you have an industry that is trust me, in my industry, Will, they've been resistant to it for years, for decades. People have tried, and the valiant have fallen. It's never going to happen. The same is going to apply in the gaming industry. There's just so much margin loss and margin versatility and all this other crazy shit that's happening. No, it's just, you gotta resist these big companies coming to you and saying, look, we're gonna buy you. And it only happens when consumers make it a standard. Like when consumers, like you know how there was that big indie push? At the beginning of last generation, let there be a big independent studios push. Like, you as a consumer, you gotta influence these independent studios to stay independent. When they get sucked up by a conglomerate, you gotta say, boo, boo, we ain't fucking with your shit no more, boo. You gotta do something. That's the secret to success. There's not gonna be a union. People are trying, it ain't happening, bucko. I'm just letting you know. It ain't happening, man. Look at Starbucks and how they, unions have tried to slither in there, and how that's already getting shot down. Like, people are still getting terminated and fired and shit like that. Like, when you have a conglomeracy like that, man, and they're resistant to you. If the unions weren't established decades ago, so this is where you got to understand, where if these things weren't established decades ago, there is too much. I hate to turn this into like a market and a political thing, but there is too much lobbyist money out here. This is why I don't believe in Republican, Democrat. I don't fall for that. I don't believe in conservative, liberal. All that is a fucking shenanigan. It's happening all over the globe. Brexit, Trumpism, whatever. These are all smoke and mirrors for you motherfuckers. They are all used to make you believe in some system like you're a part of something. All these motherfuckers are in cahoots. They're all pilfering and fleecing you so they can get richer. The Republicans and the Democrats are giving to the same lobbyists. They're giving to the same conglomeracies all over the globe. The liberals and the conservatives, they're all in cahoots. They just fund a couple of idiots to go out there. Yeah, I'm for this and I'm for that. That's the smoke and mirrors while they keep taking y'all money. This shit is not real. So when we say, look, man, we want these unions to come out here and do this and do that, there is too much lobby money. It's not going to happen. Because even where, look, Microsoft, prime example, fuck Starbucks. We're all for the unions. We're all for them. So what do? They let in a union that covered like a small portion, like a couple hundred employees, right? And those couple of hundred of employees were safe. But you still let go 1,900 motherfuckers. Your invitation to the unions was supposed to stop that, was supposed to admonish that across the board. It was a pipe dream. It was smoke and mirrors. Like, you gotta resist the corpo money. That's it. You gotta resist the corpo money. Like a lot of these people that are making these independent studios right now, they didn't resist the corpo money at first. They got bought up. Then they found out that things weren't all beautiful and weren't all peaches and cream. They got tossed out. Now they want to make their own studios. You got to resist the corpo money. And I love Larian for that. There's got to be solution. I love Larian for resisting the corpo money and just doing deals. We'll do a deal with you. Yeah. You want we got a good track record. You want some exclusivity? Fuck you, pay me. It's like the old Jay-Z skit. Fuck you, pay me. And they told Google to their face, we're not playing the exclusive game. They went across and broadcasted, we're not playing the exclusive game. We have the commodity that you want. Fuck you, pay me. We got to see more of that. These studios got to remain independent. Otherwise, this is going to keep happening. Spider-Man 2 sold 10 million in this short amount of time. That is fucking fantastic and phenomenal. Can you imagine if Insomniac was still independent and they made Spider-Man 2? Can you imagine that? It's in Sony's best interest to work with them and give them what they provided, because this is not an IP that they own. This is an IP that's owned by Marvel and Disney, so they have expectations. Insomniac could have stayed independent. Got what they needed, sold 10 million, kept their portion of it, and everybody would have stayed. Or maybe not everybody. I mean, maybe they lay off 20 people, or maybe they lay off like 5 people if the market is that rough on them. But they're killing it with these Marvel games, so maybe nobody gets. Maybe they're actually fucking hiring. I don't have the numbers in front of me. But you can sit there and do what you did with Spider-Man. Sell 10 million over that little bit of time. And the company's still coming to you saying, after you just made $700 million, and said, nah, you're not, this isn't good enough. That is a flaw with these companies. And it started with BioWare and all of them. You gotta resist the corpo money. If you don't resist the corpo money, this is gonna keep fucking happening. You gotta respect the culture. Stop selling your ass on the corner of 5th and 3rd for a pack of Pall Malls and a nice steak dinner. It's not worth it. I don't care if they put you in a hotel room for the night. Stop selling your ass. That's the lesson to be learned here. The government is not, and again, the government is not coming to save you. They're all in cahoots, all of them. All of them. Now I can name names of what figure did this. Look, just do the history. They're all in cahoots. Money speaks. So if you want this culture saved, then we got to operate with some integrity and stop talking about we get in the bag. Everything is not about the bag. You got to be willing to maintain culture and have some type of standard. And if you want to maintain this culture and keep it about quality, then you got to resist the corpo money. You don't resist the corpo money, this will continue to happen. Oh shit, did I pin the, I meant to pin the, that's just stupid. Speaking of corpo, fucking Google, come on, dude. Jesus Christ. Like Google, if you don't get rid of these hearts and shit so I can pin stuff properly, join our Discord, y'all. Thank you, Cold Blood, for pointing that out to me. Yeah, that's not gonna happen, man. There's like, look, dude. Microsoft is so influential, Will, that they went to the UK government and got them to put pressure on the CMA, an independent regulator. I've never seen this ever. In our company, we up there as far as the richest entities in the world. No bullshit. We would never be. They were able to influence the UK government to pressure its independent regulator into bowing down and working with Microsoft. That's some influence for your ass. Satya Nadella don't want no motherfucker. He don't want no union. Sony don't want no union. Nintendo don't want no union. EA don't want no union. These are rich, powerful companies that all they got to do is write a check to the right people. It's a wrap. It ain't happening. For a show to shut us up for a little bit, they do what Microsoft just did. Go sign some type of obscure deal with some union group that'll cover a couple hundred motherfuckers and then go lay off 1,900 people. And the vast majority are redundancies. It ain't happening, bro. That requires too much government intervention. Money talks. So we got to look past the government for us. We got to control this ourselves. We got to look past the government on assistance for this. We got to control what we can control. What do we control? Resisting money. We got to resist the corpo money. He said, I haven't heard about Paul Malls in a long time. Same with Lucky Strikes. You telling your age, Will. He said, I ain't forget Endgame Borderlands 2 stream yesterday. Yeah, we were having a great discussion. You need to join us on the MM2K, this is the Hard Knock Digital Culture. So we're working to get the angry Cold Blood. We're about to bring Cold Blood in here. To get Cold Blood access to, but we had a great Hell's Divers 2 stream, and the last 20 minutes was overrun by us talking about me playing Borderlands 2 and or me not beating Borderlands 3 and all this ridiculous stuff. But it was funny. It was very funny and entertaining. Definitely go check it out on HNDC Hub. It's twitch.tv/HNDC Hub. Definitely go check it out there. All right. I'm about to bring in Cold Blood. Here's what I want to say before I bring in Cold Blood and we get his thoughts. Here's what this doesn't mean, okay? I want to get past the fanboy fodder. I did want to talk about what was bad about this, but let's get past the fanboy fodder. This doesn't mean that this is not a result of the Q3 financials. I think the Q3, here's what happens. You got to understand, just like Microsoft didn't start 2024 and say, let's put Sea of Thieves in there's evidence showing that this was in the works since January of last year. maybe even sooner. You don't know. As someone who has the hiring and firing experience, you get this information months in advance. So even before the quarter financials, which Sony would have known, to be fair, Sony would have known what the financial results would have been because they're constantly looking at the data. They would have been able to track it before they officially typed up their report and did their public, conversations on it. This is not a result of, our quarter three fund. They didn't learn it the same day that they told it to you. This wasn't a result of the quarter three financials. What would have happened is if they were still on track, there still likely would have been synergies. And those leaked documents, it's not what they show you, it's what you find out by mistake that you need to go by. It's not what they tell you. Like these court documents and these leaks, y'all need to believe that shit. When SIE was pressuring them, Insomniac, to let people go, this was inevitable. I think what would have happened though is if they were on track still on track with the 25 million and had the financial reports been positive all the way around, the number just would have been less. So what these companies do, they get with their legal teams, the PR teams, the managers. Like what they do is they say, look, here's some behind the scenes look at what happens. You need to let go of 30 people. Who are your 30 worst performers? Or in advance, there's been times to where we've been told, look, at the end of the year, we're cutting 50 people from your business line. If there are people that you specifically feel need to be part of that cut, you need to manage them out. What does manage them out mean? That means that whatever issues or concerns that you have, it better be fully documented. You better be meeting with them regularly to document it. You better put it in their evaluations, because we're going to automatically ourselves pick the 50 people. And when we send you that list at the end of the year, based upon all your documentation and all the shit that you have in their evaluation, if you feel like our list is wrong, you got like a 3% chance to change it. But that list is going to be 50 motherfuckers. Like, believe you me, it's going to be 50. So maybe if by the time we send you the list, person that's number 50, you feel like should be 53 now and shouldn't make the list because someone else has become a lesser performer, you better have all your documentation in a row so they swap places. And you better do it quick. Those are the two scenarios. You submit us your 50 weakest people, or based upon what you've sent us, we're letting you know in advance, we're letting go 50 people by the end of the year. So all this shit is planned in advance. Sometimes, if you have a good quarterly reporting, they may come back to you and say, okay, we've readjusted. That list is no longer 50. It's now 30. But it's always the worst case scenario that's given to you first so you can plan accordingly. So in all likelihood, worst case scenario, they gave them a number. They gave each department a number. Maybe the financials lessened it. Maybe it was supposed to be 1,200. Maybe the financials lessened it to 900. Maybe they had a scenario where it would only be 400. But because they were not on pace for the 25 million, and there was the negative connotation alongside the good attached to the quarterly reporting, it now went up to 9. It's now the worst case. Maybe the worst case scenario was 900. Maybe it was 1,200. We don't know. But this was planned months in advance. This did not happen. They did not see the quarterly report to say, okay, now we got to let go 900 people. This was already planned. All right. So understand that. Sony felt like that they needed a corporate adjustment. They needed synergies because of the market. This was already planned. All right. Also, I do not believe that this means that PlayStation is now going to release all their games day and date on PC. I believe that this means that they're going to be more aggressive on PC. Why do I say that? Because, and shout out to Nib, he brought out some data. He spoke of some data, which as an analytical person myself, I can appreciate the hard work that he did. He was talking about and displayed data where if you look at the growth, the revenue growth of Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo in gaming since 2016, Microsoft started having very slow growth. Why? Because in 2016, that's when they really started getting aggressive with day and date PC releases, right? Why is that important? Well, everybody that owned an Xbox didn't go to PC. But if I'm a hardcore gamer and I'm go buy this Xbox One X and that motherfucker isn't giving me the 60 frames per second that Phil promised me, I am going to do what I actually did. It was me, Neethles, Noah. Yeah, I'm snitching. I'm dry snitching. It was me, Neethles, and Noah. We said to ourselves in 2018, we said, fuck this shit. We're tired of being promised all these frames on these consoles, and these consoles can't hang. We're going to PC. We started with Anthem. What we didn't realize is when you go to PC, it's a lot more. If you don't buy the top of the line shit, like if the top of the line hardware is a 2070 at the time and a 9th gen i7, if you don't get that, you're going to be doing a lot of tinkering. We didn't realize that. So that's why we had temporarily, well, they had went back to console. I ended up staying PC until I came across Stadia and cloud gaming. So with that said, you're going to have people that are not like us that's going to stick it through. And if even 5% of your player base goes to PC, it's likely your most hardcore gamers that are going to do it. And those are the people that buy the most games per consumer. They buy a lot of DLC, and you're losing out on that money. Not only are you now losing 30% to Steam or whatever for the storefront that they're now buying the game from, but now they're buying their third-party games on PC. Now they're buying the DLC on PC of those third-party games. You're not getting that money anymore. So even a 5% switch from console to PC is going to have some serious negative impacts on your overall bottom line. I think if Nib is aware of that, because I think Xbox knew that, but they didn't care because they just figured that their long-term strategy would pull them back up, that this short-term fall would be pulled back up in the long-term strategy. PlayStation doesn't have a long-term strategy like that. Their bread and butter is their hardware. Or are they looking to be more aggressive in releasing more content elsewhere? I believe so. But the full radical move of day and date on PC is going to make their hardcore, their staunchest gamers go to PC and then start buying their multi-plat steer, and then the end result is going to be even worse. So I don't believe that's what they're going to do. Again, I get heartburn every time I think of Tataki, so I don't know what this motherfucker is going to try to pull, but I doubt it's going to be that. So that's not etched in stone. All right. This is not what this means. I just think that this means that they're aggressively going to be more on PC, meaning you're going to see more PC title releases, not necessarily day and date. This does not also mean that PlayStation is leaving the AAA business. Absolutely not. Okay. In addition, the fake comparison to Microsoft needs to stop. Again, as I explained earlier, PlayStation is scaling back versus a complete transition to a new business model. I'm going to show you guys a tweet that I put up here that I think illustrates this perfectly in regards to the craziness that we're seeing. Now let's do this. Oh, excuse me. Let's put it up here on the screen. I said, now in a tweet for the setup of this show, I said the SIE news is bad for the lost talent first and foremost, and bad for the amount of AAA first-party titles they turn out in the future. Nonetheless, this and redundancy layoffs due to mergers are not the same. The latter is most destructive. Let's talk later, as we're doing now. And I said, I see you zealots trying to lump together Microsoft's complete lane shift with Sony's scale back. It's like comparing an Olympic athlete who says, you know what? I'm going to do less events this year, to the athlete who completely pulls out to work concessions and hand out the medals. They are not the same. As eye-opening and as concerning as this in no way, shape, or form is the proverbial hug that we're seeing from a lot of Xbox zealots who are saying, come here, PlayStation people, we know we're going through the exact same thing. Bullshit. This is not the same thing. Redundancy layoffs that are a result of a complete and total lane shift versus saying, look, we put out a lot of great titles and we're just going to have to scale back on that some. Still, it's not good because the state of AAA games altogether don't need no scale back at all. But it is no way near as a catastrophe as completely pulling out of the competitiveness of that business altogether to AAA genre defining games. I'm not saying that Microsoft is done for in gaming. No, I'm not. Absolutely not. Just like if you pull out of the Olympics and just because you're selling hot dogs and popcorn and you're handing out the medals, that might be a very lucrative business for you. But trust me, it's a complete shift from actually running the 400 meters and all that other shit. It's not the same. Do not fall for that rhetoric. With that said, what are the main takeaways? Again, before we bring cold blood in, the main takeaways are synergies are temporary adjustments for market influx versus the redundancies that are cannibalizing the market. You got to understand that. This is bad. And there's some problems that I feel like Totoki is inflaming here, but it's not the same as what's happening. We got to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We got to be able to separate the forest from the trees. Sony first party production will lessen though. Hopefully just for the time being. Hopefully Totoki sets his strategy, sets him on fire, and in the words of Jack Tritton, his cog just gets yanked out and gets replaced. Proprietary hardware is still at the core of what Sony does, but expect more games to come to more places like PC and mobile. I don't think that necessarily means day and date, but expect more of it to land in those places. And again, like I said, this is a synergy, not a redundancy, which is far worse. All right, that's everything I got to say about this. Let me go to Cold Blood. I'm jumping in the other chat right now, and I'm gonna pull you in, brother. Hold on, if I can find this shit. Doll Hall. Oh, yep, I'm jumping in the other chat. All right, so I'm in the other chat right now, Cold Blood. If you want to hop in, and we could talk about this great news, brother. We could talk about this fantastic news that happened today. And then after this, we're going to go and do a stream on why is, hold on. Okay, that's weird. Why did it do that? Yeah, we're going to do a stream later. Oh, there he goes. I heard him for a second. Man of the hour, sitting there talking shit. Your monologue is boring. People got to be educated, man. Got all this dumb shit happening out here on Twitter. We got to show care and love for our listeners. They're the smart ones here. Can't let them get indoctrinated by the idiots. Where's hold on, what happened to Cold Blood? Yeah, brother. Oh, there you go. He must be adjusting his mic.
Test.
Oh, there he goes. Test 1 2 1 2. Paul okay. Game said about time you finished. Paul, I gotta.
Oh yes. Oh my God, yes.
You have to understand.
Brother, I congratulate you for the most boring monologue that went fucking 3 times too long of what it should have been.
Just because you're angry.
My God, nah, brother. Just because you're angry, boring us to death.
Just because you're angry and slapping your cabinets right now.
Yeah, only slander all the time, yeah. When I can speak back, you always slander me.
Just because you're kicking your chairs over now. Sometimes you can't react super emotionally, and sometimes people have to be educated. And this is the problem why there's so much bullshit out on Twitter, because educating yourself isn't, the lie is more entertaining than the truth. But people have to be informed. So this wasn't a slobber knocker. Oh, I hate Xbox. We couldn't do that today. We couldn't do that today. People had to be educated. But now I'm bringing you in for that part. Now you can do all that shit and give us your thoughts on what's happening with PlayStation and what you think this is going to mean for the product.
Yeah, you love having a Japanese person do all the PlayStation shit now?
A Japanese person? Who? Oh,
yeah,
dude.
Because PlayStation's not being run by Japanese people no more. It's all fucking Europeans and Americans that do that shit. We want someone like Yoshida back. Yeah. You got Yoshida 2.0, huh?
Yeah. I told you.
Your wish came true.
I told you.
All this fucking shit about Jim Ryan is lying. Nah, buddy. Jim Ryan was the fucking answer. You just didn't see it.
I told you.
Now you're gonna feel the ass hurt. Oh, you're gonna feel it this time.
I told you.
The words for this guy gonna be much worse than for Jim Ryan. Trust me.
Did I not? Now again, I give you you gotta give me my flowers. I told you. I said Totoki's gonna be a problem.
I said I'm giving him a year before I completely judge what the fuck he did.
So you still waiting?
Right now it's not looking good, but it's still not what would you say,
bro?
You can judge it right now because they just became that mother. He just became the motherfucker of PlayStation.
Okay.
Give it time. If that shit is going even worse after a year, yeah, then I give you your flowers 100%.
Dude, then explain to me, what are you mad about? What are you upset about?
Oh, the other shit. They're not doing nothing right now. It's like they're fucking stagnant.
Why do you think they're stagnant?
Spider-Man 2 was the only game we knew for fucking 2 years almost.
Yep.
Like, come on now. And now you lay off 900 people. The fuck, your whole studios don't even have that many. What the fuck are you laying off people for? Right now should be the moment you are hiring people to get shit done faster. Not the other way around. It's really completely beyond me. What the fuck that decision was. Yeah, Herman says it's gonna lead to better quality games. Yeah, fuck you with your quality games. Sitting on a fucking I hate this fucking guy now. I really do.
Okay. Who do you hate?
Herman. He keeps on writing up shit that he has no business to do.
Dude,
he has no business to write that shit.
Nah, we gotta understand that the shit that he was saying before was by Jim Ryan. It's Herman Holtz's job to reflect Jim Ryan's vision. So they were working on that. You gotta understand with Totoki there now, like Jim Ryan is just there for procedural shit. He now has to reflect Totoki. I don't see where this is not Herm Holtz's fault. This is Totoki. I'm telling you, bro.
No. You're twisting my words here. What I said is he has no business to tell us that this will lead to better games. And what Totoki said, it doesn't matter right now. What matters is what he put on this fucking blog post. That this reorganization is gonna lead to better games. Like, how? How is less people gonna make better games? Explain that shit to me.
Where do you think that came from, though?
Dude, it doesn't matter if Totoki said something to him. He is the one writing that shit while still being on fucking vacation somewhere, surfing on a fucking board with his buddies and shit. Like, okay. Nah, that is not what I want to hear from Herman. Right now, it should be, we are fucking focused to bring the games as soon as possible. Not all this, these people that got fucked today, they're gonna lead to better games in the future. Like, huh? Nah, something doesn't add up.
Let me ask you a question. When Matt Booty said the bullshit that he said when they did their layoffs.
Dude, Matt Booty made more sense to me, at least. Because Matt Booty said we're gonna make AA games with AAA polish.
No, that's not that. No.
But that is a message I got.
No. That's not what I'm talking about.
What you meant by that?
I'm talking about what he said when they got laid off, where he completely regurgitated what Phil Spencer said.
Who got laid off?
When Microsoft did their layoffs, and when they just got an Activision Blizzard.
Wait, what did Matt Booty say? I don't know.
Matt Booty just he regurgitated what Phil Spencer said.
And what did Phil Spencer say? I can't remember.
Phil Spencer said that the market is changing and this and that and about this is no fundamental change. We're just reacting to the market. Matt Booty reiterated that. He's the head of their studio.
Do you give a fuck what Phil says?
But no, it's not about giving a fuck what he says. It's knowing where the message.
I give a fuck what Herman says.
It's knowing where the message comes from.
I give a fuck about PlayStation. And right now he makes no sense to me, just like Phil Spencer does.
All right. You gotta see. This is why we got to go through the boring monologues because y'all just don't listen. Herman Holmes did not write that, bro. He didn't write
this
that.
Is gonna make better games.
No, he did not write that, bro. I'm trying to tell you, everything that is said during a synergy or release of employees is created by the head of the division, the legal departments, and their PR. They gave him a script, just like how Phil had a script, but Phil helped indoctrinate the script. Phil had a script. He has a script. They all have scripts. This is not of Herman Holtz's doing.
Y'all hear this shit, chat? Y'all hear this shit?
I'm just saying, y'all gotta understand how this works. This is not Herman Holtz.
He's just explaining what he does, but he doesn't want answers.
Want answers for what?
I want answers.
No,
I don't want no bullshit PR. I want answers.
I don't believe in the PR either. I'm just letting you got. But if you want to get rid of the,
but you never said I want answers. You just said what was said, and that's it.
No, I know the answer. The answer is Tataki got to go.
Tell me.
The answer is Tataki got to go. The problem is Tataki. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And knowing how this works, it's such a radical. And such a radical change. Like, okay, this is where we do agree. Do we think that this is what, what's his name? Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan didn't want this at all, right? We agree there. This is not Jim Ryan's vision because Jim Ryan understands what gaming needs. You don't get rid of 900 people and still maintain the quality, right? We agree there. This right here, and everything that Herman Holtz was saying was based upon him conversating with Jim, them building the vision, and Herman Holtz overseeing the studios and watching what they do based off of what his boss, the expectations that his boss said.
Dude, what did Herman even watch besides a fucking beach somewhere?
I don't. So you,
dude. I never see him anywhere but on a fucking beach. No matter the time of the year. It's always on a fucking beach. I never see him on with his fucking studio somewhere. Why is Jim Ryan the only one always there making fucking photos with these guys?
So you think that you think that Herman Holtz,
he's not doing shit. That's what
he's not doing. You think he would still be there if he's not doing shit? Like, as bad as we don't like what Sony's doing, and I'm not saying Herman Holtz is the greatest.
Some fucking blackmail on these fucking Sony dudes. I don't know.
You got a hard on. I don't know. I'm trying to understand your angst towards Herman Holtz. I'm not saying he's the greatest.
What did he contribute to PlayStation? If we're really being honest here right now.
All right. So he oversees. His job is to oversee the studios, to overlook the quality and make sure that the shit is coming out good, along with the first party, second party, and third party games. I think looking at the quality of games that we got,
where's he making sure of anything right now?
What do you mean? He goes and he converses with the studios and makes sure that the shit is quality
right
content.
Now is fucking cancel games on top of fucking canceling games.
Okay, so
like, what is he overseeing right now?
So let's just use 2024 alone. All right. So Helldivers wasn't a surprise hit. He had nothing to do with that.
He didn't first party. I don't give a shit. He's
part of the Worldwide Studios, and he goes and he works with the second party too. He oversees all studio activity. So he had nothing. He was just sitting back on the.
You're contributing the fucking success of this game for Herman. That's what you're telling me right now.
I'm saying he didn't oversee that. His job is to oversee that and make sure that everything is okay. He doesn't just get paid just by walking by studios. He has to be in meetings and give results.
Sure everything is okay, sitting on his yacht somewhere and looking through a fucking phone camera if everything is okay over there.
No.
That what you mean? I'm being very serious right now because I don't buy it.
No. So number one, Sony would not allow someone.
I don't even remember the last time one of these devs said thank you, Herman, for helping us out with some shit. I can't remember a single time they did that.
I don't know how many times have they said thank you, Jim. I don't know.
No, most of the time they just say thank you, PlayStation. They're making it very fucking general.
But Cold Blood, you got to understand that when it comes to Sony, individuals don't get accolades in Sony anyway. Nobody cares what Sony. Nobody within Sony.
I'm talking about developers saying that. Oh, Herman Holtz helped us a lot. I never heard that.
But who have they done that with? That's what I'm trying to understand. When has that ever been Sony? When have they ever said?
They did it with Yoshida.
Okay, that's it. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That was when they really overlooked fucking games. Because right now, I don't feel like they're being overlooked.
I think the quality of the games that have come out.
All this 315 million budget bullshit.
When you look at
probably one of the reasons why it happened, because nobody looks at shit.
No. I think.
Yeah.
I think they let Insomniac do their thing. I think Jim and Herm said, "Look, this is going to be a big budget blockbuster game." I think they put too much faith into it and they allowed the budget, and that could have been a mistake of theirs, but I don't think that there was no oversight on it. I just think that they also thought it was necessary and believed that the game was going to have a better reaction than it actually did. It still did fantastic, but I thought that they think that it was going to do 15-20 million by this time or something, which was ridiculous. So that maybe that was poor oversight when it came to that game. But I don't think that Herman Holtz does nothing. He may not be visible.
Like I said, I want to see his ass in some fucking studio for once. That'd be a fucking beginning.
Okay.
Because right now, I see him maybe in a recording studio with fucking everything black in the background, and telling us, we at PlayStation Studios have only quality games. Yeah, fuck you. What quality games right now? I got nothing this year. All the shit is coming out from other developers besides you. That is my fucking problem. It feels like he's not doing shit right now. You understand that, Moss?
No, but I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you cook on that. Because if you look at it this way, him and Jim were heading in a certain direction, and partway through, Sony decided to
crashed. They just fucking crashed into a wall.
Sony decided in 2023. Sony decided to change direction. Who do you think was responsible in leading? Okay, prime example. When Sean Layden was there, Sony was doing certain things a certain way. Halfway through the year that Sean Layden was finally gone, that's when you started seeing Jim have more of a say of what was going on. I think you're seeing the same thing now. I think it's less. I'm not saying that Herman Holtz is perfect. I'm not saying I got a biography on the guy and he's churning it out.
He was just a developer for fucking guerrilla games.
What I'm saying is that,
in my opinion, he doesn't even have close to the fucking prestige that he should have for PlayStation had.
I think Tataki has more of an end result of what is stopping, what is being canceled.
Tataki is just a fucking interim. Who cares?
No,
he's gonna be replaced soon anyway.
No,
let's be real.
Interim doesn't mean intern, dude. He's not somebody that's just bringing the coffee and donuts.
No,
like Jim is just there signing off on shit.
But he is gonna be replaced soon anyway.
But the stuff that he's doing is having long-term ramifications. It started once they started making the shift last year. Do you think Tataki just started making decisions last week? No, he was making the shit last year. Just like Jim had influence before his thing was, while he was on the rise, before it was officially announced that he was taking over. He was slowly replacing Sean Layden, just like Tataki was slowly replacing him. Was slowly replacing Jim. That's how this stuff works. I'm telling you, this is Tataki. I'm not saying that. So maybe you're right to where somebody better could be in there and have more influence. But the 900 layoffs that you're seeing and the games disappearing and games not showing up, that's Tataki. That is all him, bruh.
How do we showing up?
Yeah, you talking about where are the games?
What kind of CFO does he have to be to say we're not shipping any fucking games? Like that's gotta be the most retarded fucking CFO I ever heard of.
Because he feels like that, just like when Satya Nadella and Terry Myerson was looking at things and they didn't like the financial prospects, they cut back. They canceled games there. And that's why this Tataki guy makes me nervous. So I don't like him because he's giving me stenches of that. It is right.
I don't like Herman right now. I definitely don't like him right now because he didn't do much for the PlayStation, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not saying he's the greatest, but
unless I forget something that he did, but I can remember.
I mean, he took over in 2019. In 2020 up to now, PlayStation had more AAA exclusives than they ever had.
That were green lighted already under Sean Lane.
Yeah, but you still have to manage the release of those games.
I don't credit him for nothing that came out 2019, 2020, or even 21. I don't credit nothing to him.
If you still got it,
I'm sorry.
I get 2019.
I don't credit shit to him.
I get 2019. You're at the tail end, but the games still have to launch. They still have to go gold. You still have to oversee. Maybe even. I'll give you 2020.
Those weren't green lit by him at all.
I'll give you 2019 and 2020. I'll give you that.
And also God of War Ragnarok. Hell no, you're getting credit for that.
2021 on definitively is under his watch, regardless of how long those games were already in production. They still got to be greenlit as far as going gold.
Okay. Answer me this: how many of those games did you play?
Huh? Am I the entirety of the PlayStation community?
I'm just asking you. Did you play any of those 21 games?
Did I play any of the 2021 games? Yeah. What games came out in 2021? I can't remember. Hold on. Returnal? I didn't play Returnal, no.
Okay. Ratchet and Clank?
Because I didn't play 22. I played Ratchet and Clank, but because I didn't.
Are you happy with your PlayStation back then?
Yeah, I got my PlayStation day one. Yeah, I was happy with it.
I was happy more inclined, with the games you got?
I'm more inclined. I'll put it like this. Was I ecstatic? Was I like jumping out of my seat? Like, no. But it was still early in the generation. But
it made a no. It's a fuck no for you. You were not ecstatic at all.
No, I wasn't ecstatic, but I wasn't even thinking about a PlayStation 4 last generation. You compare the first few years of that launch to this one? Yeah, I'm taking this one, buddy. That's the precedence I'm making a comparison to. So going a few years in,
I'm just saying, all the shit that you say was under Herman's watch, you didn't even like all of it.
Yeah, I don't like all of everything, but I definitely like God of War. I definitely like Horizon Forbidden West. His watch
was greenlit way before he even became.
You can't just because it's greenlit before then doesn't mean that there's no follow through that has to happen.
Santa Monica had a fucking vision already before.
I mean, with that being said, Cold Blood, then we don't see the result. Okay, if your theory is true, then you got to blame the person before Herman Hulse, because it takes 6 to 7 years to come up with a AAA game. So any games that he greenlit, we're not going to see that.
You said he contributed to all of them.
No, he did contribute, but you're saying greenlit. I'm not saying
a single one in 21.
What you say?
You said he contributed to all the games in 21.
Yeah, he contributed to a single one of them. No, there's a difference between contribute and greenlit. Greenlit means that you were there at the beginning.
One game you played and never finished.
You said greenlit.
One game you played and never finished is Horizon. Yeah, you say you always like him, boss.
You call me the black. You call me the black. You call me the black dealer, or the thing. You're the white post up.
Oh yeah,
you're the white post up. Because now you're saying
I'm calling you K-Mega 2.0.
You are the white post up. Right now. You know how you the white post up? Because now you're sitting there running the same theory that post up was running when he was like, now we're totally out of the Donnie D era because Donnie D was there when it started. You're running the same theory, my brother. He the white post up, y'all.
Y'all been the ones that always said, nah, Donnie D did all that shit. I'm just
saying that you don't have to be there from the beginning to be part of of a successful launch. But if we're gonna use that theory that he had to be there when it was greenlit, fine. Then the fact that we ain't got no games right now, that's not Herman Hulse's fault, because by 2019, if you add 6 years to 2019, 6 years to 2019, the average length of a AAA game, that's not till 2025. So it's not his fault that there ain't no games out there, right? Right? If it's all about when it's greenlit, he didn't start in enough time for a game of his to be greenlit. So we haven't seen what he was responsible for. If we're going by greenlit, he just
literally closed 2 fucking studios under his watch. For what? They did not even bring a fucking game out, and they just said, "Fuck you, get out of here."
So what 2 studios are you talking about?
Pixel Opus and London Studios.
Okay. And when was Pixel Opus canceled? Or when were they closed?
Was it 21?
2021? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then right now, the London Studios, they're closed too now. Did not even bring a fucking game out. Didn't even get the chance to do so.
Were there any studios closed when Yoshida was there? Or Yoshida or Sean Layton was there?
I can't remember.
There were no studios? I'm just saying, I think we're being unfair.
At least none that were any promising studios, maybe.
Well, the studio that was closed today, I mean, again, I don't want to make...
That's the one that got closed today.
I don't want to make light of anything.
Well, Jim Ryan had a fucking party with them just 5 days ago.
Okay.
Explain that shit to me.
But what were they working on? I understand the optics of him having a party, but what were they working on? That was so pillar. Like, from what I understand, they haven't done anything in 10 years.
Don't know.
Okay.
Because they did not even let us see the fucking game.
Okay. So we don't know if it was promising.
They didn't even look at fan reactions first.
Y'all see what I'm doing? Yeah, but we don't even know if it's promising though, right?
Dude, how the fuck are we supposed to know now that it's canceled?
How are we pinning? I just don't understand how Jim Ryan gets absolved of this, Tataki gets absolved of this, but this all falls on Herman Hulse. But Herman Hulse can't take credit for something that he's there while it launches, but but he takes credit for it.
I give him credit for Spider-Man 2. That's what I really give him.
Okay, all right.
That is on his head.
It's not Jim Ryan's fault that the studio closed down. It's not Tataki's fault that the studio closed down.
Jim Ryan was thinking about the old people home already. going there.
Okay, so it was Tataki. Herman Hulse didn't close down. Herman Hulse doesn't.
No, Herman Hulse doesn't decided they are the ones not worthy enough.
That comes from the SIE head. The Worldwide Studios person overlooks.
Dude, you think Totoki decided they are not the ones?
Who the companies that got let go today?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's his job. That's who signs off on that. It ain't Herman Holst. Whatever's
Herman
there
Holst has to be the one telling him.
No.
Yes.
No. It's not how it works.
Okay,
Not
so he really is on a yacht. Okay, thank you. He is on a yacht doing nothing. Yeah, okay.
Whatever studios are there.
No, you just proved my fucking point.
No, whatever studios are there, he's responsible for he's responsible for overseeing what they do. But who goes and who stays, that's not up to them.
You think as someone that just came in there, he has a fucking idea?
Yes.
He had to ask Herman all of that shit.
No. Look.
Okay, that Herman is not working. He's not working.
That's not his job. What you're talking about is administratively not his job. It's not administratively his job. Like that, if instead of insulting my long monologue, if you was paying attention, you would have heard the example.
The most boring monologue you ever had.
That's when you should have took your no-nos. You should have got some caffeine, and you should have paid attention. I gave you an example of
you know what I did while you had your fucking monologue.
What's that?
I had a phone call to get a new apartment.
See, that's when you fell short. That's why your argument falls short.
3DS games in that time.
You should have been listening. You would have heard the example that I gave, where the people that don't
your
know
monologue
nothing
was so fucking long you can't even call it a monologue. It's a fucking podcast at that point.
It was a monologue in an education cast. That's what it was.
That was a monologue times 5. That's what it was.
Y'all should have been listening. If y'all were listening, you would have heard the clear example that I told you.
All I got is
that
Totoki is the only one.
That when you get rid of an employee,
that's all you said.
When you get what? All I said was what?
No, Totoki was the only one responsible for all that shit. And nothing falls on any other one.
This is his brainchild, though. This is why he's in the position that he's in. He's the one that at the business meetings talking about, I realize that these companies are not running efficient enough and they got to get better at business.
Did you lie when he said Bungie is absolutely useless?
No, that's Bungie. Of course, I agree with him there. But he's applying what he saw at Bungie.
I agreed with him from the fucking beginning when you said Bungie is trash.
On Bungie, yes. Yeah, Bungie, but everybody is not as inefficient as Bungie. Everybody ain't releasing trash like Bungie.
But why didn't Herman already and Jim Ryan tell Bungie to get their shit together? Why did they have to wait till this fucking Japanese dude comes in there and tells them they're fucking trash with their management and everything?
I don't know what Jim Ryan.
I have no idea of business.
I don't know what Jim Ryan told them behind the scenes.
That's what.
But if Jim Ryan told them nothing, I can't believe that because Bungie laid off people themselves early in the year. They laid off people before Totoki was even involved. They laid off people.
They promised them money.
No.
To retain those talents.
That's not it.
They just fucking said, get the fuck out of here.
That's not getting
that bonus.
Yeah, that's part of it. But the bigger part of it was.
And Jim Ryan let that happen. Come on, brother.
The bigger part of it is that Sony was talking to them, which meant Jim Ryan was saying, you guys are inefficient and we want to take over if you guys don't get your shit together. And out of fear of Jim Ryan and Sony taking over, they made those cuts. Made those. No, ain't no maybe. Ain't no maybe. If you're gonna believe, if you're gonna believe the reports,
it's not a PlayStation studio.
No. If you're gonna believe the reports,
Jim Ryan has nothing to say to them.
The So why would you hold on? If Jim Ryan has nothing to say to them, then why are you talking about why didn't Jim Ryan say something about them being inefficient?
No, that's another theory I got. Why the fuck Bungie is trash as hell, and only after the CFO came in there, they're finally getting their ass whooped. That's also a theory I got. Because Jim Ryan really has only something to say about PlayStation Studios, right?
Well, okay. If that is right, the CFO is saying something about Bungie because not only is he in charge of SIE, but he's in charge of he's the CFO of Sony altogether. So I'll give that one to you. That's fair. But yeah, of course, Jim Ryan and Herman Hulse won't. If they're into, so then you just killed your own narrative.
No, it just took a fucking CFO, yeah, that has probably never held a controller in his fucking life, to tell Bungie they're dog shit at their own fucking.
But that ain't got nothing to do with Herman Hulse or Jim Ryan. You just killed your own narrative. If they don't control anything with Bungie, why would they say something? The CFO is over them, even though he's controlling SIE.
They could have at least bring someone in that could have said something.
Oh, come on, man. Hey, look, I'm about to kick you out and force you to watch that long. I'm about to force you to watch that monologue. Oh, hell no. You can't do that. You try to tell me the CEO of PlayStation Microwave Division or Sony Microwave Division is going to tell Jim Ryan, I don't like what you're doing with them controllers. Can't do that. If they're not under his control, he has nothing to say about them. The CFO can say something because
you defend this fucking helmet way too much, brother.
No, I'm not saying that Herman is perfect. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that
you're saying he's as innocent as it fucking gets.
No, the levity of what's happening because of the business structure. He's not responsible for what we're talking about today. Now, if you feel like studios aren't making the content could be better, if you feel like that there should be more games out there, I mean, sure, fine, but you got to understand that if you're looking at the games that Herman Hulse is going to put out there, you got to give him to 2025 because it takes 6 years to make a AAA game, unless you're just talking about indie games. So yes, he is responsible for finding games.
Any single promising game besides Wolverine that we know of? You got something?
I don't. Sony ain't talking. Period. Sony ain't talking. Period. No, I can jive with that.
Fuck y'all! You get a PlayStation anyway. That's what they said.
I don't know. We don't know.
Now after Xbox is fucking done.
I don't know. I mean,
yep. Now they're really thinking that.
But you got to give him till 2025 at least to say, okay, now we're going to see the results of what he greenlit. The only thing you can judge.
2025.
Yeah.
Right. How long is that from Spider-Man 2's launch? Or actually, since fucking 2023? That's 2 years.
Because of what his role is. Because of what his role is, you can only judge him on two fronts. Front number one is the games that he greenlit. That's part of it. I agree with you. That's part of it.
I just want Helman here right now.
Role number two is what he oversees.
Did for PlayStation.
What he oversees, and during his tenure of what he oversaw, the games were fine to me. Could there have been more games? Probably so, but anything between until 2025, you can't blame on him because he had no power in bringing games, the AAA games that would be out right now. Unless you're talking about AA games, I can't speak to AA games. I can only speak to AAA games. For AAA games, Jim Ryan said it himself. It's going to take us longer. This is before all this shit happened. It's going to take us longer to make the powerful AAA games that you guys expect from us. So that meant that the scale actually went up.
What are you expecting us now having a fucking PS5 for 6-7 years when it's outdated as hell? Then we get the fucking good games. That's what you're telling?
You got it. Well, you can't blame Herman Hulst for that. I'm not saying the strategy is right, but logistically, when you look at the time frame, how are you blaming Herman Hulst for that? The only thing you could blame Herman Hulst for is if the games that were coming out weren't good. Even if he greenlit them or not, if he's signing off on games that are trash, then yeah, you can blame him for that.
Spider-Man came out buggy. Horizon Forbidden West came out buggy. Returner was broken on launch. Should I continue?
I mean, I don't know the legacy. Like I don't know the legacy of how PlayStation games released. I'll be honest. No.
See?
But
and if we go by 2019, that was the year of Days Gone.
Okay. So that was
buggy.
Okay. Days Gone came out the beginning of January 2019, right? Like February?
No, in March, I think.
Okay, Herman Hulst wasn't the head of SIE until November 2019. Wrong.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it right here on the screen. I'm gonna put it right here on the screen for everybody to see. GameIndustry.biz. Guerrilla is PlayStation's new head of worldwide studios. That's November 7th, 2019. You see, this guy, he's making me defend. Herman Hulst ain't even a favorite of mine. Like when he was named head of studios, I did question that. Like him, this guy was only at Guerrilla.
But you still can't explain all the other games I told you.
All right. I can't explain them because I don't know the precedent. I don't know the atypical way because I'm just new to Sony. I don't know the atypical way Sony games launched. Did Last of Us 2 launch buggy? Did God of War? No, God of War 2018 wasn't buggy. God of War 2018 wasn't buggy. Did Horizon Zero Dawn launch buggy?
God of War Ragnarok had a lot of glitches.
Did Uncharted 4 launch buggy? No. I don't know.
No, back then it was Sean Lane and Yoshida.
And you're saying that those games didn't launch? If the games back then didn't
launch? 4, from what I remember, had no fucking glitches at launch.
I don't know.
Those games were polished to fucking hell.
Oh no.
If they had a glitch, it was so rare to encounter. My God. But the games right now, they all have some problems.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know the history because I wasn't playing those games at launch, so I couldn't tell you.
One of the most common bugs that all of a sudden happen now with PlayStation games, because they are walking simulators is if you come up to something and want to interact with it, yeah? Sometimes the button just doesn't work. Yeah, and it happens not only with one of these first-party games, it happens with all of them. For whatever reason, there's one particular bug keeps on happening, but for no reason at all. But is that a coincidence?
I don't know. Yeah, that I can't speak to.
It keeps happening all the time. I mean, it's not game breaking. You can just reload the fucking map, and then it works.
Yeah,
but I would. Funnily enough, the solution is always the same: reload the last checkpoint.
I would have to go see the actual. I would have to know the legacy of PlayStation games, which I am ignorant in, so I can't say nothing to that.
You know, if you come up to something and it prompts you to push a button,
to press the X button or whatever,
and interact with a triangle, for example.
Yeah,
and it fucking not works.
Yeah, because I experienced that a lot. I experienced that a lot in Helldivers. Yeah, but I would say that there's a variety, but hell, it is bad in Helldivers. But I experienced that in a variety of games now. I don't know why. I do experience it that pisses me off. And I think
give me about 10 minutes. I'll come back.
Okay. See, y'all didn't want the long monologue. Y'all got some debate. So let me see here. Tip Diamond says, bro, making excuses for $1 billion corporation. Hey, Tip, the way things is going, bruh, your Stadia's keeping it warm for Xbox. At least Stadia wasn't releasing his games on Amazon Luna, but you know what I'm saying. They keeping it warm for Xbox. I wouldn't get too brolic in there, brother. See? Hey, Tip, you know you need to be quiet. You should be observing from afar. You should be like that Kim Kardashian meme where you're just peeking from the bushes. I know you ain't saying nothing. Picking Phil Spencer's pubes from the chin. I know you ain't talking, brother. Should no Xbox zealot like Jay Gaming ain't even here. he took a break. He's like, I gotta sit this one out. Should no Xbox zealot feel bold or brave enough to come and question anything PlayStation is doing? Y'all gave up and put in like I said, gave y'all apron and y'all cooking pans over to the restaurant across the street and said, I'm done. Y'all took off y'all McDonald's sign, gave the recipe to the Big Mac over to Burger King, said, give me a Whopper. Y'all are done. You got Rare right now talking about their location on Twitter is PlayStation. My God, I know you ain't talking. My God. Shout out to Tip Diamond. That's my bro. I love Tip Diamond. Shout out to him. But no, y'all, I'm not making excuses. I feel like that what I'm doing, Tip, and you might have missed it and you just came in. Just like how I felt bad for just like how I didn't like Phil Spencer, I don't like this Totoki guy. I don't like it. Even though Tip knows that's why he's following me. At the beginning, be fair, Tip, at the beginning, I was throwing blows for Xbox, but I've always had an issue with Phil. This Totoki guy gives me Phil type vibes, where he just doesn't understand the right levers to pull and win. And I get what Cold Blood is saying, to where he like to see Herman Hulse more productive and more, but that's emotional Xbox shit. We see those execs all the time. What do they give us? Like I'm not over some glitches that, in comparison to other PlayStation games, I don't know the history of that. But when I look at the games that Herman Hulse looks over, that he's had to reside over as they launched, they're better than the games that had to launch last gen on PlayStation. The output from PlayStation the first 4 years of this console are 1,000 times better than what you got last gen. I wasn't even thinking about a PlayStation last gen this early. I wasn't thinking about it. I don't think we put this on Herman Hulse. I think there's just a mix-up, but that's why I got to do the boring monologues. Y'all motherfuckers don't be paying attention, bro. It agitates me because in detail I go over this shit. I know some of us was joking and talking about, oh man, this felt like an executive meeting. Well, y'all got to understand how this shit works. Y'all have no clue, and y'all out here arguing for shit that ain't gonna do nothing. Herman Hulse's job is to oversee the studios that are there. Herman Hulse's job is to oversee the studios that are there. The games that, and then to help influence games that are coming down the pike. When they go get a new studio or they release a studio, that's out of his control. They may ask for his input. His input may have something to do with it, but the decision is not made solely off of him. He just manages the productivity of what happens. If anything, if they're cutting too many studios, not just off of synergies, but because they feel like they're not producing up to standard, he's going to be held responsible, as he should. Sony is not going to let this dude as cold blood. Cold blood just looks at shit topically. He just looks at the shit as it looks on the surface. He doesn't look beyond the surface. There is no fucking way that this dude, that's like Hideo Kojima. Every day Hideo Kojima is releasing weird ass pictures and talking about movies that, do we think that's what Hideo Kojima is doing all day? No. He's working. He's got a game that he's doing with Xbox. He's launching Death Stranding 2 with PlayStation, and as far as we know, he still has espionage game that he's going to be launching with them again. That Herman Holst, who had to greenlight it, right? Who Herman Holst announced with him. He said, the smear campaign of my name continues. Of what I can't talk about. You damn right, you should have never left. But no, man, I don't think that for what we're talking about today, Herman Holst is the problem. He's not the problem. Is there another set of problems with Herman Holst? Like Cold Blood was talking about bugs. Maybe he is right. Maybe games were buggier. Maybe he's not that efficient on making sure that bugs ain't there. Okay, maybe I don't know. I don't know the history of PlayStation games at this moment to make that comparison. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about these people being let go. We're talking about games not showing up. We're talking about games not being here in 2024. You can't blame Herman Holst for that. The reason why we're here doing this podcast is because PlayStation let go 900 people, and they're talking about scaling back on how they approach AAA games. That decision wasn't made by Herman. Yeah, Herman may have said some dumb shit. That was talking points, and because of what happened at Microsoft, where Herman saw, or not Herman, where Sony saw that internal emails get released, and the internal emails contradict the talking points that they gave for them to say publicly, you best believe that the PR teams and the lawyers got together and said, Herman, press send on this to your employees. Herman, say this publicly. To Toki, say this publicly. That's how this works. I try to educate y'all on this. I understand it's not fancy. It ain't F in this, F in that. I understand it's not that. But it's enlightening you if you pay attention to it. When y'all don't pay attention to it, y'all sitting there arguing back and forth about shit that don't even matter while these motherfuckers continue to fleece you. If you know what to argue about and what to raise heck about, they're less likely to take advantage of you. That's the point of all this. Y'all got to get better at understanding how this shit works. Acumen, understanding how something works. I'm not saying it because it rolls off the tongue. Y'all gotta understand how this works. And I'm telling you, Totoki is a problem because he doesn't understand the gaming culture. He doesn't. He called out Bungie. Good for him. Any of us, give him one of Jim Ryan's cookies? All of us knew that Bungie was inefficient. All of us knew that Bungie was inefficient. So I'm not giving him a cookie for saying a stop sign says stop. he announced the obvious. And that was his job. Where was he at months ago? Why is he just saying something now? He been the CFO. Why is he just saying something now? That's who you need to be asking why they just saying something now. It's him. So, yeah, that's what this was all for. We got like a good hour before, even a little bit less, before I have to go and I'm turning on my PlayStation. We're gonna play some Helldivers. Damn it. Let's do this. HTTPS. Come on over. Y'all heard the PlayStation. Come on. /HNDC Hub. Join us here for Helldivers 2 gameplay. Join us here now as we talk about Helldivers and we play Helldivers. I'm about to go play some Helldivers right now. Join us there. This was a great talk. I think I'm warning everybody, just like how I warned y'all would feel, and everybody called me a hater and called me everything under the sun. Right? Y'all called me a hater and everything under the sun, and I end up being right. I'm right this time. This fucking Totoki is a problem. He is a problem. Shit is announced being canceled under him. Who knows what Herman Holtz could have brought to the table? What Herman Holtz would look, man, this is a great game. You know, showed them the presentation. I want to green light this. Sure. No telling what he greenlit and was bringing to the table. And that Totoki just came in and just said, get this shit out of here. It could have been some trash. Could have been some great stuff. We don't know. We ain't going to know until all this shit comes out years after the fact. Well, this is Totoki, man. This is just, we saw this when Jim Ryan was gaining reigns against Sean Layden. Same thing happened with Totoki. Jim Ryan is just there signing off stuff until his final moment, until he goes off in the sunset. Tip Diamond says, you mad because the man wants to make more money. Go buy them consoles. He can't get that 10 billion. That 10 billion is evaluation, Tip. And I can go look on the Nikkei market. You know what that is, Tip? No. Is that the name of Phil's underwear? No, it's not the name of Phil's underwear. The Nikkei market is the market, the index in Tokyo, in which PlayStation is a part of, or SIE is a part of, or Sony's a part of, rather, in the index that they're part of in the Tokyo market where they get traded. So I'm going to check the Nikkei index, the Nikkei 25 to be exact. The Nikkei ain't the number of warts on Phil's thigh. No, it ain't. Tip, it ain't. Sorry. I'm going to go check the Nikkei 25. And I'm going to see if that evaluation, which is just the mood of the market, if they got that 10 billion back. We'll see. Projected earnings, bro. Stop. You listen to many of them podcasts. Projected earnings. Stop it, bro. You listen to many of them podcasts. Join us over there on HNDC on Twitch. We're about to go live. Until next time, y'all have a wonderful gaming day. Peace. Thank you very much, y'all. Great discussion.